Hello and welcome to the May edition of Shropshire Business Live TV. We are here live at the Yarrington Studios in Frankwell, Shrewsbury, and we've got a packed show for you today.
We have. We'll be introducing you very shortly to our first two studio guests here. We're going to be talking about an issue which is gaining more headlines at the moment, actually, which is menopause in the workplace. But we've also got some fabulous other guests lined up. We're going to be talking about a new initiative called Career Card very shortly, which is fascinating, and I think it's something that a lot of businesses are probably going to want to get involved with. We've been out and about a bit, haven't we?
Yeah, you've been in Shrewsbury Town Centre.
I apparently made an appearance on social media with people wondering what our cameras were doing on Pride Hill.
Yeah, apparently Carl is Judge Rindo and also is filming for Escape to the Country. Are you doing either of those?
Neither of which pay that kind of money here, I'm afraid.
So you've been in the town centre. I then went into the quarry in Shrewsbury and caught up with Jane Pritchard from AK to find out about their latest SOS project, and also caught up with Seb Slater as well to find out about their data hub, which they've just launched.
Yeah, of course, Shropshire Council have helped with that, haven't they? And yeah, we'll have our wealth management advice, of course, with Nick Jones, find out what he's got for us, and lots more besides. So we better crack on, hadn't we? Let's introduce our two studio guests. Now, Jenny, who's been here before, Jenny Gibson, in a different guise from Aaron & Partners, and Alicia Skett from the HR department, making her debut today, aren't you?
So, yes, thank you for having me.
Good to see you, good to see you. We'll be talking about the Shropshire Business Awards as well in the studio a little bit later, and you're shortlisted for an award, aren't you? So,
I am.
So, nervous, looking forward to it?
A little bit nervous, but yeah, my interview went well, so...
Now, in the headlines over the last couple of months, really, I think, I've certainly noticed, and we were talking about it in the studio here, about how the issue of employers' attitude towards handling menopause strategies in the workplace is more prevalent, I think, than it's ever been. And I know that you wrote a piece, Jenny, in the Shropshire Business magazine this month, so I suddenly thought, you're the perfect person to kick us off here. Maybe sort of, start from the beginning, really. Do you agree that it's being talked about more now?
It is definitely being talked about more now. Yeah, it's definitely something we're getting a lot of questions about from clients, and it's something that the government is looking at. So where sort of like recently, my article, what I did write about, it was the women's qualities for the Parliament committee, and they made a number of recommendations to the government in relation to addressing I say this issue, but this sort of acknowledgement really that women of in a particular age bracket are going through the menopause, and they are having, it just can, for a percentage of those women, make it a lot more difficult to perform potentially at the same level in the workplace. And they made a number of recommendations, and some of those were accepted by the government, and some weren't, as I sort of set out in my article. But yeah, it's definitely something that is coming to the forefront now. And saw some statistics, and in the past year, there's been a 50% increase in tribunal claims that mention menopause as part of the issue there.
And is that increase would be because these conversations have been going on before, but they've just been going on in private and they've never got as far as a tribunal?
Yeah, I think that's got to be the case. So there's lots of research that's been going on over the past few years, and sadly, one of the one of the studies that came back was that I think it was like 25% of women have really struggled in the workplace and haven't had support from employers, and I think it was something quite shocking as 1 in 10 actually left their job because they didn't get the support they needed. So I think this is a real issue. It is something, thankfully, that's being talked about more. It's coming to the forefront.
And Alicia, from an HR perspective, if you're an employer and you hear, a survey like that, potentially some of your staff are so unhappy or feeling so uncomfortable about raising something like this that they might leave, I mean, that's a nightmare, isn't it, for an employer?
Yeah, and I think the first thing to do is to contact someone like myself or Jenny that could give guidance on it. I mean, we can guide you on how to make reasonable adjustments within the workplace, how to educate. I mean, that's HR's message all the time, educate and communicate. And once you've done that education, we can help implement policies to underpin that so that staff can really see that their employer is trying to make a difference, they're trying to make a change. They could even give examples of the changes that they're willing to make so that they can say, okay, I feel comfortable to approach my employer and say, I'm going through the menopause, what can you do to help me?
Because you can't educate until you feel comfortable to communicate, though, can you? That's the problem, isn't it? So,
creating that environment, isn't it, where people who are going through those issues feel that they can go and speak to someone. openly about it. And like Alicia said, like about educating other staff as well. You know, there are more and more women in that age bracket than ever in the workplace. So that women are, you know, obviously potentially at the very, very sort of almost at the peak, you know, of their careers. They've, you know, can add a huge amount of wealth of knowledge. So keeping those people in your business is, in the long term, is going to really help employers.
That's what I was going to say. I think a lot of the issue sometimes is that employers have a short-term mindset rather than a long-term. And by thinking about those support mechanisms, they can retain the talent, the knowledge, the experience, and those people can guide the next generation rather than using the next generation to just replace them because they're seen as an issue.
What sort of, how easy are some of the things that employers could do to ease this situation, you know, that are maybe not being done, or even things that they just don't acknowledge or don't understand?
Well, there's a huge range of things that they can do. I'm sure Alicia's got some examples, but things that sort of spring to my mind are things like breaks to deal with, you know, if women need things like getting simple things like getting some fresh air if they're having hot flushes, just by way of example. Changing hours. So one of the symptoms of menopause can be that people have very difficulty sleeping, and that can have a knock-on effect. So having some flexibility on allowing people potentially to work from home, to give them a bit more time in the mornings, or just let them start a bit later, can make a huge impact on that woman's life.
And that's something we're more flexible doing now anyway, isn't it? Since the COVID pandemic, you know, we are working from home that little bit more. So I guess that's made it easier in terms of flexibility in that respect.
Yeah, I was going to say, regards to hot flushes, there's so many cost-effective, reasonable adjustments that can be made. So, you know, just placing them next to a window or a fan, making sure they've got access to cold water. If you wear uniforms, maybe relax the dress code a little. I know some women struggle with sweating, so if you do wear a uniform, you could provide an additional set so that if they need to get changed midway through the day, they can. I know one other symptom is mood swings, so just educating managers on how to appropriately deal with that and sensitively. And going back to flexibility, I know GPs have introduced menopause clinics, so allowing them time off to go to them and not nitpicking when they've got lots of medical appointments, because if it's related to that, then it's reasonable.
This sounds like it's a real conversation between the employer and the employee when this is, you know,
absolutely.
This time,
Who needs to take the lead on that, though? That's one of the things, isn't it? Should it be the employer noticing and appreciating these things and breaking the ice really and talking to the member of staff? Because sometimes it's pretty hard, isn't it? You know, if you're a woman in the workplace and you're thinking, I don't quite know how to raise this with my boss.
I think that if the education's in place and managers are able to identify the symptoms, never approach someone and say, I think you're going through the menopause. But if you do recognise it, you can at least encourage them to approach their GP, and then they can come and have the conversation with you.
One of the things that government report talked about was maybe setting up like a bank of menopause ambassadors, wasn't it, and things like that. So. Yeah,
that's sort of like the government. I think that's someone who's going to be a ministerial role potentially, where someone's going to be looking at these kind of thing, as opposed to sort of specifically in each workplace. But I think from an employer's perspective, you know, quite rightly to say, you don't want to be approaching an employee and saying, hi, are you going through the menopause? That's not the way forward. But if you see, you know, especially if you've worked with someone for a while, if you approach an employee and you think something's going on here, just have a private chat with them and just say, hey, look, I just want to check that you're okay. Or I've noticed that you've been late a few times. Is there anything you want to talk about? I'm here, you know, just making yourself available. And then it's just encouraging that conversation. And then the employer's in a position, once that their dialogue's open, is like they can start looking at the reasonable adjustments that Alicia's like mentioned and helping where they can.
Because we've talked on this show a lot over the last few months about how much Shropshire companies, well, companies everywhere at the moment, are struggling to recruit, you know, decent quality staff. So the one thing you really do need to do at the moment is hang on to your good ones, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's that thing we all know is retention is cheaper than recruitment overall, because you know the costs associated with recruitment can be quite extensive. And when you've got good staff, you should be doing what you can to hold on to them.
What are the sort of HR structures around policies like? I've heard people talk about, companies may be being encouraged to introduce menopause leave schemes or things like that, or a menopause passport. I think one of the hospitals in Birmingham was looking to do. And
so our base advice would be to have just a menopause policy that's outlining the support that's available, who to approach, put in their definitions so that it's not just managers that are being educated, but everybody else in the business. And maybe put in their examples of reasonable adjustments. So as I say, again, they're comfortable to say, okay, something can be done to help me. And yeah.
I mean, the leave point that you made, that was one of the recommendations made by the Women Equalities Committee, but it wasn't accepted by the government. They were sort of, they call it not accepted that recommendation, but they essentially rejected it because they felt that allowing women to sort of be out of the workplace for that period of time, they felt that was counterproductive to actual retention. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that, but yeah, it was something they thought about and they decided not
I guess
to
that's a
proceed with
difficult one to have a sort of one-size-fits-all policy, depending on what sector you're working in a bit, doesn't it?
Exactly. So it definitely would have needed more exploring before they could adopt it, but it's not something they're going to be proceeding with.
So let me finally just ask the two of you, if there's one thing you'd maybe say to businesses, employers or employees, to take away from this discussion today, something to do or something to think about, what would you say? Who wants to go first? Jenny's got something to say.
Well, I reckon we're probably going to say a similar thing. So I think it's about, I mean, I was going to say about education. You say about the risks, yeah. Because if you don't address this, there are potential risks there. That not only do you have women leaving the workplace, which is obviously not good for your business, but also there are potential there for sex discrimination claims and also potentially disability discrimination claim.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say with the disability, particularly the average length of menopause is around 4 years. So if they do have severe symptoms, it can be classed as a disability. And then, yeah, that leads down the path of discrimination.
Yeah, and there's actually a case, this is something we've seen in the tribunals. There was a case where it was found to be a disability because of the effect it was having on the woman in question.
Do you think the growing amount of case law that now exists from all of this helps to inform employers about about the dangers of not doing something about this?
Yeah,
really, so.
Absolutely. They're going to be more alive to the issue if they think there's going to be potential, negative consequences of not dealing with it appropriately. But so go on.
No, go on, please.
I was going to say, but I do find that employers are very much, okay, we acknowledge that this is something that just needs to be looked at. So let's have a look at how we can address it as opposed to kind of sticking the head in the sand.
And do you think, Alicia, in general terms, the majority of employers are very well aware that this is an issue that needs to be near the top of the agenda now? Would it be the exceptions that are not?
Definitely, it is coming up more as with wellbeing. I think it all kind of ties in together. I think just particularly, I know people use it a lot, but like since COVID, matters that were forgotten about are coming to the forefront again.
Because one of the symptoms of like the menopause is that women can feel more anxious and stressed. So yeah, it does tie in with sort of mental health well-being as well.
And if you're a good employer, you recognise that in your teams anyway, don't you, to a degree?
Yeah.
So you'd hope.
You would hope.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sure this is a debate we're probably going to be having many more times here on the channel, so we'll have to invite you back.
Yeah,
some other
we'd love to come back.
Jenny, Alicia, thank you so much. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff.
We're going to be talking commercial property in just a minute when I went wandering around Shrewsbury Town Centre. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
The law in England is changing to help catch a killer before more lives are lost. The killer is known to lie in wait before overcoming victims.
There's a killer in your house. It's colourless, odourless, tasteless, and kills whole families. But now the law is changing to stop it. Landlords must install a carbon monoxide alarm in all rooms with a fuel-burning appliance. Do you have enough eco alarms?
Welcome back to the May edition of Shropshire Business Live TV. Now, earlier on in this week, Carl, you were out and about in Shrewsbury Town Centre, as you said, causing a bit of a social media storm as people were chatting online about what was being filmed. But what were you up to?
Well, it's a chance for everybody to find out. Now, we're talking commercial property. I was with the team from Morris Property, taking a look at some of the properties that they've got, some that are occupied, some that are soon to be occupied, and some unusual history about some of the buildings that people might not know.
Well, you don't always look up. Let's take a look.
Well, we've come out into the middle of Shrewsbury today with two members of the Morris Property team to find out more about some of the activity, commercial property activity that's going on, and the company's strong connections, of course, to this area. Introduce yourselves, folks. Who have we got with us today?
I'm Neil Anderson, Head of Estates at Morris Property. Joined the company last September. Used to work for Savills in Birmingham.
I'm Sarah Evans and I assist Neil with the management of the portfolio, and I joined just after Neil in October.
Now, it's no coincidence that we've started here at the top of Pride Hill, is it? Because I know that this particular building behind us, you can't see all the architecture behind the trees, actually, can you? But this has got a particular poignant significance, hasn't it, to the Morris company here?
It has, yes. It was developed by the business over 100 years ago. There was a competition for the design, and it's based on a property in Norfolk, an old hall which is still standing today.
Isn't it funny that sometimes people, they look at the shops, they don't always look at the buildings above, do
yeah,
they?
Absolutely. I think we're all very similar, aren't we? You just focus on the ground floor. But when you look up, it's a really attractive building.
And Sarah, you're a Salopian, aren't you? So this is an area you know well, you know Shrewsbury,
Yes,
you know
I'm
it's...
Shropshire born and bred,
Yeah.
and it's lovely to be working for a company that's so associated with the town, and to be looking after these properties that I've known all my life.
We'll go and have a bit of a wander round down Pride Hill and then back towards the river in a minute to talk about some of the particular properties that you've got on at the moment. But what's the climate like at the moment? You know, we're hearing, I mean, just this week, talking about inflation not coming down as fast as we'd hoped, and some people still a bit nervous. How does that feed into the property market?
I think here in Shrewsbury, the market is a little bit more protected. Morris Property we have a very low level of void properties at the moment, and we find that the town is still very vibrant. I mean, for me, having worked in Birmingham, you know, I find Shrewsbury very vibrant in comparison.
How different to Birmingham do you find it?
Oh, it's incredibly different. Yeah, it's a complete contrast, and it's fantastic.
And Sarah, from your point of view, what's your specialisms been? Because you've worked in commercial property for many years as well, haven't you, Sue?
Yes, I've done a mix of different things, always working a little bit in residential and also helping rural estates, but it's nice to be focused on commercial property. Started that career with TSR, another local company, and Morris have got a really good mix of shops, offices, industrial, all different types of property, which is really interesting and really enjoying it.
Do you think people maybe know exactly what the blend of the Morris Property portfolio actually is here in the town, particularly in Shrewsbury?
No, they probably don't, and I think there's an ambition to grow into new areas all the time as well, which is very exciting for the future.
Shall we go and have a wander?
Yeah.
Let's go and have a wander down. So here we are now, halfway down Pride Hill. Actually, before we talk about some of the units here, we didn't mention the former use, actually, of that unit above W.H.
Yes,
Smith's
a lot of
Tesco, 'cause-
Shrewsbury families will know it as the old dance hall and tea rooms. There had been a food hall as well on the ground floor, inspired by Harrods in London. So it's a real piece of Shrewsbury history.
I'm going to keep that one for my Shropshire trivia quiz next time, I think. That. Do you think people don't actually know, do they? You know, because they don't know, we said at the top, they don't raise their eyes above shop sign level a lot of the
No,
time,
and there's
do
some
they?
really beautiful buildings in Shrewsbury, and we're lucky.
Look at these
to-
here, you know, just above the
Yeah.
units we're going to talk about now.
They really are stunning and very
yeah.
unusual. And these colours are specifically listed, so we have to keep them perfectly matched to what they were.
Most of this is listed, isn't it? You've got really
believe
specifics
so.
about what you can do and what you can't do in a
Yes.
place like this. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, we talk about prime retail spots. They don't come much more prime than this one, do they? What's the plan
Indeed.
here?
We're just in the process of letting this one to a local clothing retailer. So quite excited to be, you know, working with a local lady who will be opening quite shortly.
That's good. So it's because of course Shrewsbury's got a reputation for lots of independent retailers, hasn't it? Rather
Absolutely.
than the big national, international
Yes.
chains, and
Yes.
building on that then by the sound of it.
It's very much so a local independent, and the shop's recently been refurbished, so she's able to literally move straight in.
Superb. So this you own quite a few of these units here, don't you? So
We do. We own all the units down to the works.
Yeah.
So, quite a variety of national retailers.
So I'm guessing, I mean, one of the real challenges or real fun parts of the job, I guess, is to be a friendly, round the corner, approachable local landlord, isn't it? Is that the...
Yeah, we very much hope so. I mean, for me, it's been very interesting dealing with the bigger tenants, having worked more with local landlords and tenants. This is new for me, but it's nice to get that mix where hopefully we're approachable. And I've certainly been interested to learn about the history of these buildings. Certainly the basements and the upper floors, there's a lot of history in there, which has been really interesting.
Because the Hobbs building, I mean, a lot of people talk about, you know, previous uses. A lot of people remember that as the old.
Yeah, well, it was my treat as a
McDonald's,
child
wasn't it?
to be taken.
You go downstairs, and that
Exactly.
used to be like a medieval
To go down
wall.
Yes.
and eat.
There,
It's part of the town wall.
yeah.
At the original town walls, that was a big highlight. Yeah, so many people know that. Unfortunately, can't get down there now.
No, but things like that must make your job in terms of selling Shrewsbury and selling commercial property in Shrewsbury much easier, because people, there's been a real resurgence in wanting to know about heritage and history and just things that happen in the UK, isn't there?
That's right. That's right. And you know, Shrewsbury as a town has so much history. You know, so to have ownership of some of those properties is very exciting.
Because that wasn't it? It was the oldest property ever to have a McDonald's restaurant in it, wasn't it? Or
Yes, in
something
the
like that?
world, I
seem to
believe so.
remember,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And that was, how long ago was that then? I'm trying to. That's probably been 10, 15 years ago, isn't it, since that closed?
I think at least. And Hobbs has probably been there now for quite a few years, 5 maybe.
5.
And they seem to be doing well.
Well, and that's the success, I guess, of an area like this, that something's, you think, well, what can possibly ever replace something that's so popular and iconic as that? Something does. You forget about that, and it's almost like the likes of Hobbs and all these have always been here, haven't they?
Yes, absolutely. It's a busy street.
What's a typical week in your working life then, the two of you? How much time do you spend in the office, out of the office, talking to customers, talking to retailers?
It's always a very varied week, and you start the day with a particular plan and it doesn't always work out that way. So we're out and about with the properties very regularly. Every day we'll be visiting something.
Always a
meeting
few
tenants.
unexpected things, the odd leaks and things going wrong, but hopefully not too often.
But all people ever want when something like that happens is there's somebody on the end of a phone and you deal with it straight away for them. And you
We're
understand
lucky to have a local team that are always ready to jump on things and attend to them straight away, which is really refreshing for me.
Is it much the same for you? Do you have a plan and then rip it up several times during the course of a week?
Oh yes, definitely. And with all the different types of property, I've been, you know, on the roof and down in the basement and all over different types of property. It's really interesting.
So how many people are there in your team altogether then, and sort of what sort of area do you cover?
In our team here in town, we've got 6 people, so covering accounting, administration and surveying. And then we have a base out at Bicton, where our construction team is based, so they help us with some of the property aspects.
We'll talk shortly when we get further down the hill as well. I'm fascinated to know what's actually happening at your Welsh Bridge headquarters. People have seen the scaffolding up, won't they? But save that for me for a minute. Let's go and have a wander down there, shall we?
So thank you.
Thank you.
So we've come down now to Victoria Quay, which of course is known as the leisure quarter really of Shrewsbury, and Neil Morrison Company played a key role in the rebranding and redevelopment of this site, didn't they?
Yes, it was very much an inspiration of Robin Morris, who worked with the council, developed the sort of leisure offer down here, and we own a number of the buildings which were previously bakeries and warehouses.
So was that working with the council to come up with the concept around persuading them alfresco dining should be introduced? Because
Very
none
much
of that
so.
was here before, was it?
That's
At all,
right,
so-
that's right. So, and of course there's the big town plan coming as well, which involves the area to the left here, so, you know, it will connect very nicely.
What's it like when you know, from your point of view, you know, when you've got a debate going on with the local authority and you're wanting to say, look, at the moment this area is used for this. Can you visualise it being this? Because sometimes that's quite hard, isn't it? To take people with you on a journey. Sometimes.
It is, but to be fair, the council, you know, they're very helpful to work with. I think everybody's aiming for the same outcome here, which is to continue the success of Shrewsbury. You know, we've got the beautiful river here. You know, very much leisure orientated in this part of the town, and we've got the boat. The pontoon is part of our portfolio, So yeah, it's all very connected.
It's busy down here this week with the weather, isn't it?
It
So,
is.
I mean, we mentioned earlier as well about the importance of being a friendly, helpful landlord, and working with companies to help them to grow must be one of the most rewarding parts. I mean, sort of over the back of here, you've got the Walrus restaurants, haven't we? You know, which
That's
moved
right.
from one part of town to another, and that was an example of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, a Michelin star restaurant. We worked with them to relocate into one of our restaurants here, help them with the fit out. You know, a great team to work with, and we very much hope that, you know, this will be a long-term base for them. But, you know, on a wider note, we're always keen to work with our tenants. Often we've moved them from smaller premises into larger premises, particularly as we undertake new developments like Stadium Point. You know, it gives that opportunity to work tenants through the portfolio and make sure they're in premises that work for their businesses.
So how would that work then? Would there be a mixture of some tenants maybe coming to you and saying, Neil, we want to expand, or we want to open a new unit, have you got anything for us? Or would you be maybe going to some of your tenants saying, did you know, we've got this, we've got that? Is it a bit of both?
Yeah, I mean, we meet with our tenants very regularly, so, you know, they tend to be quite open with their property plans. So, you know, that helps us develop our portfolio with the right kind of opportunities as well.
And Sarah, we're very much concentrated on our little walking tour of Shrewsbury today, but, you know, the Morris portfolio goes beyond the town, doesn't it? Give us an idea of the size, the scale, the blend, the mix, you know, of different businesses that you've got.
Yeah, well, within the portfolio, we're managing over 200 different types of property, from small garage units to over towards the Midlands. We've got a nearly 70,000 square foot industrial shed, and all sorts, from the pontoon behind you to things in Telford, South Shropshire. It's really wide and diverse. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Which I guess makes it helpful for you doing your job, because it means you're far more likely to have something to fit anybody that comes to you and says, this is the kind of business we are, have you got anything that might
Yeah, that's
suit our
right. And we
needs?
really have had quite a few tenants within the portfolio that have moved within our portfolio and are asking us what's coming up. And being developers as well, we're able to actually start building things for tenants as well to their specification.
And there's a lot of that. I mean, particularly in the Telford area, every time I drive around Horton Wood and places like that, there seems to be a new unit going up with one of your signs on it saying the latest development by Morris's, and a broad range of businesses that are taking these on, isn't there, Neil?
Yeah, very much so. At Telford, we have undertaken a number of large warehouse developments, some of which we sell on, and some of which we're developing for other owners and through our construction team.
Get your crystal ball out for me then. My final question, well, it's an ultimate question. You'll allow me another one at the end. How do you think this year's going to pan out? You know, what are the things that, you know, if businesses are asking you, Neil, where do you feel? What's the gut feeling?
Well, we've worked with tenants through the COVID period, and we've come out the other side. And I think at the moment things are going they're steady. I don't think we're going to see any major surprises. Fortunately, not having too many empty properties, we don't feel too exposed. But yeah, I think it's hopefully steady, but no great gains.
Excellent. I said it was my penultimate question because the one more. I mean, just wander around here so we can get a better view of this. Of course, this is the landmark building here on Welsh Bridge. Scaffold's been up for a while here, hasn't it? Now,
It has.
Talk us through what's happening here and when's it going to be coming down?
Well, the scaffolding will probably be down the end of next week. We've had full redecoration, which I think is the first time in 10 years. It was last done when there was a gas explosion the other side of the building here, and quite major damage.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been redecorating and doing some roof work, and then we're following on with an internal refurbishment.
So the people of Shrewsbury can rest assured that this landmark building might be decked out festively, as it tends to be at the end of every year, and will continue to be a landmark in the town.
The polar bears will be back at Christmas, we can confirm.
Excellent to hear. Exclusive on Shropshire Business Live TV. Great to catch up with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
A new mental health workshop will be held in Telford next month in a bid to encourage more managers to be compassionate and supportive leaders in the workplace when dealing with emotional health and wellbeing. Lucy Edgar and Colin Noble, owners of Human Everything, will be hosting their mental health workshop and manager's survival guide at the Best Western Valley Hotel in Ironbridge on June the 14th. Lucy said the workshop would help guests create a culture of mental wellness in their business and give them the tools to support their team's overall wellbeing. Telford College is to host a major conference for regional business leaders on electrification and sustainability. The event is being run in association with WMG, University of Warwick, Telford Business Board and Telford and Wrekin Council. It will be held at Telford College's Wellington campus on Thursday, June the 22nd. Running from 4:30 until 7 p.m, it's going to include presentations from a series of high-profile guest speakers, plus information displays and a question and answer panel. And Shropshire-based S.J. Roberts Homes has been shortlisted in 2 categories of the prestigious and highly competitive Insider Midlands Residential Property Awards. The team's Allscott Meads development, which is being built between Shrewsbury and Telford on the site of the British Sugar's former sugar beet factory, has been recognised in the Residential Development of the Year for more than 100 units and Placemaking Project of the Year categories. The awards, now in their 8th year, showcase the best residential projects and developers from across the whole of the Midlands over the past 12 months. We've got more business news a little later in the show.
I started looking into different routes after college, found out about apprenticeships and decided I wanted to kickstart my career straight away rather than waiting.
I chose to do an apprenticeship because I like the idea of starting work straight away as soon as I could and then learning as well. It's good to learn a trade, but then when you have the college course that goes with it, you get the extra knowledge that you wouldn't necessarily get if you're just working day to day on the job.
Welcome back to the May edition of Shropshire Business Live TV. We are live from the Yarrington studios here in Frankwell, Shrewsbury, and it's time now to welcome our next studio guest. As you'll see, we've brought some props in to help us as well to introduce Andrew Goff and Hayley J, talking about this new initiative called Career Card. I guess we should just start at the beginning. How did this all come about, folks?
Shall I take that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you for having us. It's really good to be here, but it started here in Shropshire. So I had a career change 2 years ago and decided to join the local Chamber of Commerce. And it was one of the first meetings I came across Hayley. And Hayley was doing a presentation on electric vehicles, very, very topical with all the sustainability. And I was looking to make resources for schools to help teachers in schools teach about various subjects, and obviously sustainability and energy is really important. So that's where the conversation started with ourselves and Furrows and Hayley to say, well, you know, how can we help build resources to build business growth for the schools and for your business?
To building, strengthening links between education and business, which is one of the big things on everybody's agenda at the moment.
Well, I sort of recognised from a previous business and industry that I was in how the lack of people then affected that business so dramatically. There was no skill base that was left to do that business. And I thought, you know what, we have to be really careful, because I could see in certain little pockets of Furrows that we were finding it very difficult to actually employ local people. And we'd started discussing this and really thinking, what can we do to help? And it basically came out that looking at young children and starting them young with what do they really want to do. And they haven't had visits around companies now, because with lockdown, we weren't allowed to have anybody in. And this career card will actually help them understand about somebody's job, what they do, what their environment is, and give them a starting point to be able to go forward. And we thought this was really important. You know, it was a great foundation.
So just explain how it all works
then. Well, it goes back to storytelling. You know, the emotion that we found when basically somebody working in business shares their energy on their career and what they do with a young person. And obviously everyone can't be everywhere all the time. So that's transitioned into capturing videos of people in the workplace and getting their advice, hosting those videos online, and then getting those videos surfaced in schools and to children. And with my background as a former teacher and deputy head, you know, how can we do this? Well, we came up with the idea of this pointed display, what we're calling a careers card. And the simple things of, you know, I'm sat at a parents' evening and how can I give out cards to parents to take home to their children, but obviously using the QR code here to launch the videos and strike up that conversation.
So if I pick up one of these and I think, yeah, I'd quite fancy being clinical nurse specialist at the NHS, I scan the QR code, what do I see then? What do I see from there?
Well, you see a response, video responses to 10 questions that we've gathered from schools. So we've got about 10 critical friends in schools, in careers departments. They gathered together all the questions that young people are interested in. And those are the questions we're asking people like the clinical nurse specialist there or the crop doctor and getting their feedback. A really powerful question that I'm really interested in myself is, why do you enjoy your job? And when you look at the commonality of answers across those, it's a slightly different task every day or a different challenge, or I'm interacting with people or going out and about. I mean, some of those responses are just phenomenal. And when we show them to young people, you know, they show engagement.
I think they also want to understand how from there can they get into a position and what happens when that position is attained, how they can then develop through the business. So we created this at Furrows so that we show them how we can grow you as a person through all of the different sections of our business and show them all the different types of jobs. Because in our industry, they think there's a man who sells the car at the front, a man with a spanner at the back, but they don't understand all of the jobs that happen between. If we don't have a cleaner, we can't go to work. If we don't have a managing director, we can't go to work. If we don't have an IT specialist, we can't go to work. And it's explaining all of these jobs. So we're actually building career card modules like this so that people can see all the different jobs. And we've interviewed different members of staff. And it's been great because they've understood a little bit more about themselves and their job. And they're telling young people about their career. And some of them are quite young, and it's wonderful. It's worked out really well, hasn't it?
Some of them are already inspirational stories, like Ollie, one of the apprentices that's gone through Furrows and talking about his journey. It's exactly what young people want to hear. You know, oh, you did this, you did that, you did an apprenticeship, and you do this now, and you're enjoying that quality of life. And he's
become a manager from an apprentice, so it's lovely to see.
That is a great story.
Oh, it's lovely. Well, a lot of people, especially in Furrows, which is a very much family-based firm, we all sort of grow together in this huge tree to make the whole thing work. And for him to be able to go from the bottom to the top quite quickly, it's an inspiration for all students, really.
So I see that you've done a career card.
I have.
So Hayley, why do you enjoy your job?
I absolutely love my job, and you know very well that I absolutely adore working for Furrows. Fantastic family business, and it's great that they're allowing me to be able to get involved in this and to help with the apprenticeship programmes that we're running and to inspire young people to be able to come and work within the industry, which is really important.
So this is ticking all sorts of boxes, isn't it? So
Yeah.
what's the big plan for this then? Where do you want it to go? Where do you see it going? What can Shropshire businesses do to help it get there?
Well, the amazing thing about Shropshire is seeing all of the Shropshire businesses really kind of get behind this and show their intent. You know, a network meeting yesterday, I was inundated at the end of the network meeting, right, yeah, how can we get involved? We want to support the young people, the young talent in our schools. You know, it's all about continuous growth. So the plan is to build out in excess of 200 people doing videos here in Shropshire to begin with, but then gradually grow it out nationally. And we're talking to some national chains at the moment where, as Furrows, this is actually the careers card station that will be in Furrows, but with all their employees. People are looking at how can they have stations in their retail units. And there's another side to that. It's actually really providing some good self-esteem for the people working in business. You want me to tell the people about what I do and my job. Yeah,
we talk all the time, don't we, in the media about the fact that an organisation telling people how good they are doesn't carry the same weight as a person who works for that organisation giving you a case study talking from the heart.
I've got to re-record my my question 5, which is why do I enjoy my job? Because every time I'm interviewing somebody, it extends forward. And there was a moment I was privileged to witness last week where I was in a school and I was interviewing some young people to provide more research behind career cards. And this 13-year-old young lady said that she was interested in law. And I happen to have some video from Lanyon Bowdler, from some of their solicitors, and it's really good stuff. And they're under embargo because it's not signed off online yet. I showed the young lady the video, and there and then it was a life-changing moment for that young girl. It was like, you know, they didn't get excited, just went quiet with, actually, that's what I want to engage with, that's what I want to do.
Because certainly when I was at school, you saw a careers advisor once. We're going back 30 years now, but it was literally once with the careers advisor. You probably had 15, 20 minutes. That was it, you know. So something like this.
Well, I think it's useful because they can pick out the industries that they're thinking of and take them home, put them on the dining room table and speak to their parents or guardians and say, well, let's talk about this, let's have a look, and this is what I'm thinking, and what do you think? And they can watch the videos and talk about it as a family, which I think is really important, and it's more encompassing rather than just going to one person and there's no interaction. And the parents will know what the children are doing then, which is great.
And you're right to bring up schools, Chris. It's really important here. You know, schools are, everyone in society is entirely pressured at the moment, and this is a big part of what we want to do with career cards, is get rid of all the horrible admin behind all of this and get conversations going about careers and reinvest the time that's spent in admin into it. The conversations with schools so far are really, really positive. So building up this bank of Shropshire businesses, Shropshire people, telling the story of their work. Now we need to get some career cards done for you guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely do.
We'll sort that. You wouldn't want to know the real truth about our careers, maybe. But let me ask you the sort of Dragon's Den style question then. Is anybody else doing anything like this? Is it trademarked? Is it patented? How does it grow from here? What do you do?
How does it grow from here? It's a messy start at the moment, to be honest. We're in innovation space. We're learning more every day, every conversation. It is trademarked. We're waiting on the kind of final on that at the moment, but it's all looking good. The platform development is the strongest thing we're doing in the background at the moment, and how can it just become a fluid mechanism in the background by which anyone in business turns to. And if you were to say, you know, what's a key indicator of success in 12 months is that, you know how people in their signature, they have their Twitter, their Facebook. We want them to have that logo, our logo there. That logo means I commit to investing in young people and to all of our futures by young people thriving.
We'll talk some more in a minute, but I know you also offered us a number of videos which just highlight the benefit of encouraging young people from our schools to work more closely with business. I know this one that you sent us here, this is March's school, isn't it, working with Everstore? Just tell us the background to this.
We wanted to do a hybrid kind of video here, so great young people at the March's school in Oswestry, brilliant company on our doorstep called Everstore. Both wanting to know about each other, Everstore wanting to invest back. So we set up a day where the young people from the Marches went in and did some interview questions behind the camera, in front of the camera, with the amazing people at Everstore, and the video you're about to see is the outcome of that.
Let's have a look what happened. Here it is.
Hi guys, I'm Patrick Evans, the Managing Director here at Everstore. Welcome along today. I believe you guys have got some questions for us today about the business and the services we provide.
What happens here at Everstore?
Well, we're a document management company, so we provide services to businesses predominantly. That covers storage, we provide shredding services. Digitisation of documentation has been very important, and so we now do an awful lot of scanning. That means that we can deliver customers information to them much quicker and in a format that they can work with much better in their business.
What's it like managing a company like this?
It's great when you've got good people. It's rewarding to have the customers that we have locally and to be able to get really good feedback from the services that we deliver.
What are your day-to-day responsibilities in your role?
Well, in my role, I work with the guys here, the management teams. Part of the work that we provide is retrieval services. So if somebody needs that box back, we would then be able to go into those boxes and we can either deliver them physically to the customer, or predominantly these days a customer can access that digital record. I understand you've been out on our van today doing a collection delivery from one of our valued customers, Lanyon Bowdler. You've been with one of our great collection and delivery guys, Eddie, I believe. So he's actually on the road and is predominantly the face of the business. He's brought that information, that paperwork back to here, and we'll now process that in, and they'll be put onto the racking to be stored securely. I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of our warehouse manager, Nigel. He'll show you around. You'll see the racking, you'll see our shredding machines, and you'll see our scanning room. Thank you very much.
What Eddie is doing here now is he is offloading the van, so he is scanning the box, which has its unique reference. In scanning is acknowledging that we are receiving box into store, and it is now under our supervision. We're now in the main warehouse, and this is where all the boxes are stored. This is the new extension, so this is what we have at the moment, and in our old place we have over 90,000 boxes.
What system do you use to find and identify something in a box?
Well, the system that we use to find it is O'Neill software, which is an industry standard.
Eddie, where are we now?
We're in the main warehouse next to the paper shredder. This is shredding that we've collected from customers, so confidential documents. So what we do is empty the shredding into the shredder, and then just check in every bag to make sure there's no confidential documents left inside any of the bags.
Where does the shredded paper go onto and what does it become?
The paperwork that we shred is shredded securely and to high standards, and will then be processed and recycled securely. The shredded paper goes into the waste paper industry.
What's your favourite part about working here?
You know, we've got a really good team of people here. Some of our guys have been with us from just leaving school age really, and we've developed those individuals through in their various jobs, and they've succeeded very well. It's rewarding to see everyone succeed in what they do. Thank you very much.
So there we go. That's what happened when the Marches School went into Everstore, and Andrew and Hayley are still with us here. You could see the joy that both sides of the equation got out of that.
It really works. It really works. It's a fantastic thing for schools to actually see what businesses are doing, and it's going to help our young people in Shropshire actually then choose a career that they're going to absolutely love and enjoy. So it's a really important thing that's going on at the moment.
And as far as businesses, you know, producing these career cards, I bet the actual people have great fun when they're actually filming it for themselves as well, don't they?
Yeah, we've done quite a few of them at Furrows, and we've had some great characters, and people I didn't think would be very good in front of the camera have blossomed, and I'm going, wow, you're extraordinary. I didn't know you were that amazing. So yeah, we've had some great times with it, really good.
Any outtakes?
Loads of outtakes.
Loads.
I think it's the thing that I would summarise that is everyone's pretty passionate about investing in young people. And actually all the businesses that I've encountered here in Shropshire are passionate about the region and putting back, and are stepping forward to show their intent to support those young people. So I think we're well on track to being the county which invests most in its young people in this space.
There wasn't a mechanism for this before. This has just come out of nowhere, hasn't it? And there's a mechanism now that's not going to be over expensive for your company to be able to put out your message about your team and how you want people in your team. So it's a great thing to get involved with.
I'm sensing this is still evolving as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
It'll always evolve. It will always be evolving and taking on people's thinking, young people's thinking particularly, and being the best it can be in this space.
So if businesses are interested in finding out how do they get involved, or how can they help you, how can you help them, where do they go? Where's the first port of call?
So go to career.cards, the website, and just register your email address there, and we'll pick it up and get in touch. Simple as that.
Excellent, and we look forward to supplying you with some of our words of wisdom.
Definitely will.
Look forward to hearing more about your careers. Thank you for having us.
Great to have you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
Plenty more still to come on Shropshire Business Live TV. We'll take a quick break. Time now for our latest Ask the Expert slot. I went up to see Nick Jones at his HQ at Throgmorton Associates earlier this week, where we talked about a lot of finance and wealth management related topics, including life insurance, critical illness, income protection, and golf as well. Here it is. Well, for our Ask the Expert slot this month, we have come out to see Nick Jones at his premises in Shrewsbury. Nick, good to see you, as ever.
Hi, Carl.
Before we get into talking about some financial bits and pieces this month, I notice you are brandishing your latest charity campaign. You've just a photo shoot been going on here, haven't you?
Yeah, photo shoot on the lawn. 4 of us are taking part in it's the longest day golf marathon challenge for Prostate Cancer UK. We're doing ours on the 4th of August, which isn't the longest day, so it means we've got more pressure. But we've got 18 holes of golf times 4, so
wow,
4 rounds,
okay.
72 holes. It is a golf marathon. You walk the equivalent of a marathon, and probably longer if you're not very good.
Well, I'd zigzag my way up. I'd walk 2 marathons,
Yeah,
I think.
military
so,
golf, left, right, left, right.
Yeah, so you're doing 2 courses twice?
2 courses twice, yeah, meal brace and condover.
And how's your golf at the moment? How's your form?
All right, but I think it's all going to go out the window, isn't it? Probably the first couple of rounds will be like normal golf, and then after that will be a war of attrition.
Endurance test,
endurance,
isn't it? But then some of the endurance tests you've put yourself through this year, you must be in fighting shape.
No, I'm here now with 2 or 3 months ago, and I'm thinking I need to get fitter. and also my fellow teammates, Adam, Steve and Sean, are all feeling the same. We've got to get a bit fitter.
It sounds like great fun, though, and a great cause as well, of course, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talking about money matters. In fact, raising funds for charity sort of leads into the bigger picture of this at the moment, isn't it? We're still hearing times are tight for people. Even today, we heard that the cost of inflation for food is still 17+%, and it's hard for people. And I thought maybe this month it'd be quite nice to talk about how people prioritise what they still keep from a cover point of view, because there must be pressure on your household budget when you look at, we're struggling to make ends meet. We've got cover for this, we've got cover for that. Are there things that people are turning their backs on that they shouldn't? What's it like out there at the moment?
Yeah, for people that are finding it difficult every month, it's really quite difficult to work out exactly what should be paid and what shouldn't be paid. You look at your direct debits, you look at your bank statement, and that's a good place to start really, so you can actually see some people got lots of subscriptions going on, but they paid forever, and some things they're never used anymore. Some people would rather die than lose their Netflix account. Other people are paying for Amazon Prime and never order anything. There's some statistics about that the other day, how many millions of people are just paying their subscription and don't actually go shopping online anymore. So there's lots of money that can be saved, but also when people have got protection policies already in place, what should they keep and what should they give up? But it's easy to keep paying £5 a month and then question it when you see it on a statement. But if you go to a local coffee shop, you're going to pay more than that for a cup, and that's just 1 cup of coffee, rather than covering yourself for £100,000 is the difference between your family being comfortable if something should happen to you and not.
Well, or like you say, a Netflix subscription or a Prime subscription, it's a few quid a month, which is just becomes part of the routine. But then we're also seeing quite a lot more, I think, in the media in recent months. This idea, of maybe a tragedy that families couldn't have seen possibly coming, it hits them. They've not got cover, and then friends and relatives and just well-wishers are helping set up GoFundMe accounts to sort of get them through. Is this because a lot of families have decided that the cover for things they hope they'll never need are the things that they're deciding not to carry on with then?
It could be. I've seen similar. So we've got lots of connections on social media, you've got friends on Facebook, and tragedy does strike, and there are people who've got young children who were taken unexpectedly, and probably they didn't have cover in the first place. So it's not that they decided to stop the premium, it's that they never really thought about it. But for somebody who might be 30 years old, for £5 a month, they can have £166,000 worth of cover. Pure life insurance, no critical illness or anything fancy, but purely to get some cover. So that would make a hell of a difference to the family, to the people that are left behind. And that's at 30-year-old. So 40-year-old, it's £5 a month for 100,000, and 50-year-old, it's something like £12 a month for 100,000. So again, not a massive amount every month, but really quite important. And then if you have a larger budget, then you can consider things like critical illness insurance, which is a lot more expensive because you've got a lot more chance of claiming, and the probability of claiming is what influences the premiums. So it's about 4 times as much to have life cover with critical illness combined. but very much worth it, because you may well suffer something nasty which doesn't kill you, takes you off the road for a while, and hopefully you recover and come back to work at some point. But you can have a lump sum that can pay out and ease a lot of the pressures, so then you can concentrate on getting better.
What's that? Because there's critical illness cover and then there's income protection, isn't there? They're not the same, are they?
No. So critical illness cover tends to pay a lump sum on diagnosis of a specified illness, like a cancers or heart attack or something nasty. Whereas income protection is something that pays out a regular monthly amount generally until you're able to go back to work, and it might have a payment period of 2 years, depends on the policy and the type of cover that you've actually opted for, and each element will have a different pricing bit to it. But speaking to somebody that is authorised and regulated, we all say this, don't we, every time, but can really make sure that your money can stretch further and can provide the accurate cover that covers your circumstances, because not everybody needs the same level of cover, not everybody needs the same level of income protection. Some people have got great protection through work, other people are self-employed and have no protection because it's all on them.
Some people don't realise what protection they've actually got through various accounts or policies or things that they don't realise. Maybe their bank covers parts, you know, or sometimes you're covering the same thing 2 or 3 times, aren't you, somehow?
Absolutely, it's not unusual. Like pensions, really, people have moved from one employment to another. They've got all these policies in a desk or a folder, or they've got two ways of doing it. They've got a piling system, or they just throw everything when they receive it. So, but quite often we'll have a new client and we'll have a look at the envelope or the filing cabinet, and it will say, okay, this policy, that policy, that policy, and then when you actually build the picture of what they've got, they might not have a gap. They might be over-covered even. So then we might think about, well, which bits do you need and which bits don't you need? Or they might have a massive black hole in their protection that they could sleep better at night. And we were talking earlier about sometimes it just needs to be the breadwinner who's covered, and sometimes it's everybody in the family, so husbands and wives, whoever's looking after the children. Nowadays that's an expensive thing to cover. So if you're taken out of the picture and the family needs the children to be looked after and you're paying for that, that can be really expensive. So it's as important to cover the children's responsibilities as much as it is the breadwinner.
Things like, so let's look at things like life cover or critical illness or income protection. Can anybody get that? Do you have to go through like medical checks? Do you have to have doctor's examinations, or do you just apply and get accepted?
Yeah, it's a great question. It depends on the level of cover and your age, really. So if you're younger, generally there'll be less questions that are asked, and you'll get more cover for a lower premium. It's all about probability. If you've got some health conditions, then you might find it more difficult to get cover. But it's only extreme conditions that you're not coverable at all. Sometimes if you've had a previous critical illness and you're now looking for new cover, you might get a new policy that will provide cover for everything apart from what you've already had. And you know, that's where underwriting comes in. There's a process where you have a GP report that you sign to say, yes, please, the insurance company will write to your GP, ask for your notes, if you like. If you then are having higher levels of cover, then there might be a nurse visit that's required to come around and maybe take a blood sample, or maybe take a urine sample. But all of these things are part of the process, and don't let that put you off, is what I say. You know, I preach really, and I would appeal, because the people with cover, when we have a death of a client, it's much better going around with a check than going around and just trying to unravel everything and trying to help the family cope afterwards.
Yeah, at a time when stress levels and emotions are running as high as possible.
That's not air ambulance, is it?
I don't know, is the drone up? No, it's not our drone, is it? Sbltv, I think we're all right.
No, okay.
At a time like this, you know, as I say, when inflation is running high and people start to look at their household finances, does that tend to mean that actually, conversely, it does make people focus more on their finances and try to plan a bit further forward, to sort of look at the risk areas maybe in their portfolios then? Or?
It can do, yeah. We're spending a lot of time now with clients and refocusing on their objectives. So what are you aiming to do? If it's a pension plan, what age are you looking to start receiving benefits back out? And we don't talk about pensions now just about providing the income. It can be the legacy planning and the inheritance tax benefits now of retaining the money within a pension. It could be that it goes to your spouse, it could be that the spouse doesn't spend it, then it goes to the children. It could be your children's children that end up spending some of your pension money. So it's really quite tax efficient and much more than just income for the future. And rarely now it's just your pension for your future. So we look at state pension, we look at income from savings portfolios, if people have got invested assets, if they've got property portfolios, and blending the right level of income, because you don't want to have more income than you need, because you pay more tax than you need to, and then you'll run out sooner. So it's that balance.
Because it always used to be, didn't it, as long as, you know, records go back, that the next generation always used to be in a more affluent, in a better financial situation than the previous one. That's not so much the case at the moment, is it?
That worked for the baby boomers, so people that could buy relatively inexpensive property and then just sit on it almost and not invest and even just hope it would go up in value. Pensions used to be sort of the final salary versions that were guaranteed, and you had a good payout and you had a guaranteed income for life. All of that kind of thing tends to be a done thing now. What we've found now is that clients who may be grandparents or parents of younger people coming through, they're trying to retain the cash they've got for as long as they need it themselves, but also help grandchildren get on the housing ladder. And they're doing that now rather than waiting until they've died and doing it through a will. They're actually saying, okay, how much can I afford to gift? There we go. What are the inheritance tax purposes? Well, it's a potentially exempt transfer. You've got to live 7 years, and all these facts and figures that we go into then. But actually, if the kids need it now, the grandkids need it now, then people are more willing to give it now. I think that's been a big shift over the last 10 years.
Yeah, because you're hearing a lot of people who are saying that they're doing that. It's not seen as a strange thing to do, is it now?
No, absolutely not. And you want to help the kids, but you don't want to spoil them. So you want them still to value money, but they need big deposits towards the mortgages because the house have got so expensive. So a lot more families are talking more openly now, which is fantastic because traditionally, I've been doing this a long time, it used to be families didn't talk about money. Right. And if you were asked about money, then you were nosy or you're in it for yourself. But now you're trying to help generations deal with inheritance tax at one end and getting on the housing ladder at the other, and then seeing how the family assets can help everybody along the way.
Interesting you say about how people, are more comfortable about talking about their finances now. Do you find that the tone and the type of conversations that you have now with people are very different to the way you had to approach these topics with clients when you first started?
So. Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot more awareness now as well. People generally are a lot more aware of financial issues or financial opportunities or what a pension is. And sometimes we'll do workplace sessions and we'll go in and a lot of the team won't really understand what a pension is, what it's supposed to do. So we start right at the very start. Okay, this is a pot that you're putting money in tax efficiently. At the end, when you retire, it'll be there to give you some income back out. Oh, I get that. I just, people talk about pensions. I didn't know what it ever meant. And we have some very open conversation. But a lot of time now, the stuff that's available online, there's some really good information, there's some rubbish. That is always the way.
That's why they need people like you to pick through it, Nick, so that you can choose the bits they need to read.
Always, yes, yeah. I'm forever having conversations about, well, what's the next big thing? What should we invest in this? No one can tell you until afterwards what was the best thing to have done, but spreading around, diversifying, and having advice you can trust, that's the key.
Absolutely. Well, I better leave you to go and get on the driving range and the putting green, get some practice
and in the gym, yeah.
The quicker you get round your 4 rounds of golf, the better you'll be feeling at the end of it, won't you?
Yeah, it's not till August, so we've got a little while, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it at the moment.
Good luck with it. I look forward to seeing you next month and update on how your training's going.
Brilliant. Thanks, Val.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Welcome back to Shropshire Business Live TV. Now, it's time to talk Shropshire Chamber Business Awards. Joining us now is Kelly from the Chamber.
Hello both. Thanks
for
having me.
It's all go at the moment, isn't it?
Because month ago, tomorrow is it?
I know, I can't believe how quickly it's come round.
It really has, from when it was launched back, was that in
January? End of January.
Yeah. So to now,
we're nearly there.
Time has gone quick. So how are things going then?
As you said, it's extremely busy at the moment. We had the judging week, which as I said, was really busy. We had a bank of independent judges all around Shropshire visiting Oswestry, Telford, Whitchurch, Ellesmere. Fantastic feedback. All of the finalists have done really well, and it has been really tough this year. With a lot of the finalist categories, it's literally been 1 point between them. So
really?
Yeah, it has been really tough.
High standard, isn't
yes.
it?
Because it's good, isn't it, that there's such a county-wide spread of the finalists, and literally every corner of Shropshire's got a finalist.
Yeah, we've covered everywhere.
But that's a logistical nightmare from you when it comes to trying plotting routes for judges and everything.
Yeah, the poor judges. In some categories, they visit the 4 finalists, and they have been from one end of Shropshire to the other. They take their own time out of their own business and travel around. But it has been amazing. As I said, the feedback's been great. We had 180 entries this year. It's been really popular. And the finalists just amazing.
So we've got 11 categories, 4 finalists in each.
Yeah.
Of course, the headline one is the Shropshire Company of the Year, of course, isn't it? Which always gets
the big one.
Tell us about that. Who have we got this year?
Yeah, so this year we have Reach, ACO, Shropshire Homes and the Dodd Group. Again, 4 amazing companies. different backgrounds, and again, all around Shropshire, so it just shows anybody can get into that category.
So that's a couple. I'm testing my Shropshire Business Awards knowledge now, having been involved in it. ACO and the Dodd Group have both won Company of the Year before, haven't they?
Yeah, and ACO were last year's winners, so we'll have to see what happens this year.
I thought it was really nice. I mean, you've also got lots of other previous Shropshire Company of the Year winners that are involved in some of the other categories. But there's loads of new names this year as well.
There is, and you can't stress enough, they're members, non-members. We've got businesses with 2 employees, businesses with more than 200. So it does show that anybody can enter the awards and anybody can be a finalist and anyone can win.
Was it last year that was your first year organising it?
Yes.
So you know what's coming this year then? Is it calm?
No, do you know? No, it's exactly the same, but I love it. It's really enjoyable. And the buzz around everything from the launch up until the night is just fantastic.
And it is the biggest business event in Shropshire, isn't it? I mean, we're going to have nigh on 600 people at
it's seen as the Oscars, so it's the opportunity to bring all the Shropshire community together to celebrate all of their achievements and successes. It is really fantastic.
It's like celebrating. Also, it's just a great evening to enjoy with your teams from work and go out with, and also a great evening to network as well.
It is. It ticks all the boxes. I mean, like I said, I didn't know what to expect myself last year, and it was just amazing, and the feedback was brilliant. So bigger and better this year.
And dressing to impress as well.
Absolutely.
We'll have to see whether I can still fasten the top button of the shirt. Every year it's very nerve-wracking the day before. So, as I say, it's a month tomorrow.
Yeah.
But is there still time? Can people still book tickets? How does it all work?
We do still have some seats and tables available. So if anybody is interested, if they just visit ShropshireBusinessChamberAwards.com, all the information's on there, or they can contact the Shropshire Chamber and we can book anything for them. So it's all still available.
So yeah, ShropshireChamberBusinessAwards.com.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's. Have you got any other sponsorship opportunities still available or not?
The category sponsorships are all full now. We've got some amazing sponsors, and thank you to everybody that has sponsored, but we do still have some opportunities available, so if anybody's interested they can reach out to us. We're also putting together goodie bags for the evening, so if anybody wants to raise their profile and donate, again we can look at that for them.
So they need how many? They need what, 600 items of
600
whatever they want to put in a bag,
yes.
do they? So. Excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing you on the 23rd.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Carl.
And whatever this man's doing, I hope you've got a good excuse for not being
I've got to go. Yeah, I'm on a cruise. So
we'll have to let you off for that one then.
Maybe it can be live streamed to me. Who knows?
You can't argue with that, can you? Kenny, great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck at the awards. Thank you.
More to come in a few minutes. Let's take a break. Award-winning news, views and analysis. That's what you get with Shropshire Business Magazine. We celebrate the county's successes, we get the inside stories from our innovators and entrepreneurs, and we cover the big talking points across all corners of the county. We're proud to have been named Midlands Magazine of the Year, and proud too to be a founding partner of Shropshire Business Live TV. Download the latest edition of our magazine from our website right now, and drop us a line to find out how we could be putting your company's story into our headlines.
Well, joining me now is Jane Pritchard, Community Liaison at ACO. Jane, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you've got an exciting project that's taking place at the moment, Project SOS. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so one of my colleagues came up with the initiative, which we thought was a fantastic idea. So it's all about offering like a community group, a charity, a school, local organisation, a bit of help really. So basically we all do volunteering at ACO, so it's a great idea to offer our services and get out there and help complete a project. So we're actually offering 5 days of volunteering with our team at ACO. So it's to sort of like get out there, try and help make a difference within the community.
So this then could be a project maybe finishing off something that's already been started in the local community. It could be something maybe painting or something like, or even a gardening project. I know lots of community organisations are doing things like that at the moment. Is it something like that you're looking for?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're working with so many schools across Shropshire. We have had a lot of inquiries from primary schools, so things like forest school areas, or like you said, painting, an outdoor area or a classroom. It's things that we've done before, so we thought why not just really sort of like help sort of complete a project, and yeah, that's what we're doing.
So are you working on projects at the moment then? Has the team been out already?
We've been out recently. Well, we did something last year at Morder School, so we helped renovate a classroom out there. We've helped at various schools. We have had an inquiry without Project SOS to go and help with the Forest School area. So we're always actively out there. But yeah, I mean, we need to fill our volunteering days. So yeah, this.
Well, the thing about ACOs that we like here at Sbltv is the fact that you are out and about in the community and you're giving back to the community as well. So something like this project I think is really good, and it's, I guess people then, as you say, people are contacting you anyway because they know the work you do in the community.
That's right, yeah. The more we actively sort of like get out there and do things, a lot of these things happen by word. So schools will talk to other schools and say, you know, ACO are here to help. So yeah.
So I can't let you go without asking you about your festival that's taking place later in the summer. How's it all going?
It's going really, really well. Ticket sales are going well. We've got a lot of tickets to sell. So yeah, 15th of July, family fundraising festival up at Brinken Alter Estate in Chirk. There is something for everybody, children, adults. There's going to be music all day. There's a circus. Lots of different acts, lots of like different activities for everyone to get involved in. So we're really excited about that.
So this is going to be a day where the families can come together, can't they, and be part of a community event, which is something nice. And you've done this before at the ACO building itself, haven't you, in the past?
Well, we've done sort of open days, but very much based around our colleagues and their families. But we do an awful lot of charity work. We do an awful lot of fundraising. So we thought, let's just step it up a level, raise a lot of money for two fantastic charities, the Movement Centre and Little Stars, and yeah, we're just going to try and raise as much money as possible.
I know we had Curtis and I forgot her name now, Leanne. On our last show. We were talking about the work you're doing with them. So to support local charities like those guys and give them that helping hand, and also it's about exposure as well, isn't it?
It is. It's really, really important to us. I mean, particularly Little Stars, you know, Leanne sort of started that charity in 2020 during COVID, and we've just helped her develop that charity as much as we possibly can, and we continue that support. And then with the Movement Centre, I mean, they're doing amazing work helping children with movement disabilities, and you know, they really need as much corporate support as they can get.
So let's just remind us about the SOS project. Just sum it up. So if someone wants to get involved or get you to get involved, I guess, how can they do that?
Yeah, so if they would like to email us at sustainability@aco.co.uk with their inquiry, and we can send them an application form. The deadline is 2nd of June. So yeah, get entries in, and then we will be getting back to all of our applicants.
Brilliant. Jane, thank you for joining us on the show. Thank you very much.
A Shropshire Business Networking Club is continuing to thrive with a large attendance at its latest meeting. The Growth Club has been developed over the last 3 years by business consultancy Good to Great, which has its head office in Bridge North. The club's aimed at business people who want to re-evaluate how they operate in the current economic climate and also meet other like-minded entrepreneurs to share best practice. A new mortgage advisory firm has been launched in Telford as people across the country face further price hikes and struggle to get on the property ladder. Nathan Blissett has launched Dwello Mortgages as part of his plans to transition from the football pitch as a professional footballer, but he does still plan to keep his foot on the ball for a few more seasons yet. He's supported by a team of experienced non-executives who all bring a wealth of business knowledge and expertise to the table. And Priest-based Tilly Green Coffee has welcomed 2 senior engineers to strengthen its growing team. Engineering manager Steve Spooner and service engineer Paul Haig will support Tilly Green's expanding nationwide customer base and focus on coffee machine servicing, testing, maintenance, as well as training customers on how to operate machinery efficiently. Both men bring a wealth of experience and expertise to the table.
Shropshire Live. News and entertainment for Shropshire.
Welcome back. Well, it's time now to welcome someone to the studio who's very well known in the Shropshire business community. It's Mandy Thorne, MBE, High Sheriff of Shropshire. Mandy, welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And you've been in here, this studio, lots of times, but in different, wearing different hats, haven't you?
Yes, yes, lots of different hats, which sort of sums up everything that, my whole thing about being really nosy is I tend to do different things. So, yeah, but this is the biggest honour and privilege.
But we're not your first official engagement today,
no,
are we? So
no, I've been at Sundawn Sports Village, where it's the Shropshire Primary School Sports Championships, which was amazing. Over 350 years 5 and 6, doing all sorts of different things. I've seen tag rugby, which was a bit chaotic. I have to say the referees need gold medals themselves. Netball, indoor athletics, double up relay races, seeing young people hurling themselves at walls, carrying a baton and then passing it over to somebody else. Fantastic.
Believe me, we can do chaotic here in the studio as well. Not quite so energetic, but we can do chaotic, definitely.
Yes.
Tell us about the High Sheriff's role for anybody that doesn't know too much about it, and how much you're able to put your own agenda towards the year in office there.
The High Sheriff's role is actually the oldest Crown appointment. So the first sheriffs actually date back to pre-Norman Conquest. And there is a long and not necessarily great history. So past sheriffs, their responsibilities were collecting debts for the Crown, keeping the King's peace or the monarch's peace. So they were, when we didn't have the police, the sheriffs were responsible for keeping people off the streets, or whether they were good or bad sometimes. I mean, everybody knows about the Sheriff of Nottingham. However, the role of High Sheriffs today is actually a superb, non-political, voluntary, one-year-only role, and we very much are here to shine the spotlight on everything that's wonderful. There are 55 High Sheriffs around the country, one each for Shire counties in England and Wales, and we wander around, poke our noses into places, go, you are amazing, we need to celebrate what you do. And actually just seeing people and saying thank you. Brilliant. And I do lots of different things.
I know you particularly want to put business right at the heart, business and enterprise, don't you, at the heart of a lot of what you're doing.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's my background. I had my own business until about 18, 20 months ago. Everything that I've achieved has been down to the fact that I've worked in this amazing county. We need businesses to take their rightful place. I mean, we've just heard about from the Business Awards at the Chamber. Great celebration, but actually every day businesses do wonderful things. We celebrate volunteers, and the role of the High Sheriff is absolutely to celebrate volunteers. But in business, we have a lot of people who just are unsung heroes. They go that extra mile. It's part of what they do. And my theme for the year is unsung heroes. And I want to find them, thank them for what they do. It's not about what they do in their business, but in their role within their job, within the business, within the company. Those extra things they do, they make a difference in their communities.
How much of a say do you get then in shaping specifically, your year? Are there certain things that are in your calendar set in stone that you'll need to do, you have to do, or you're expected to do?
Actually, there's not as much as I thought. I think right at the beginning, and you have a 4-year run-in to become the High Sheriff, which is a long apprenticeship, particularly somebody like me I'm a bit of a back of the fag packet sort of person. So this whole idea of being really organised 4 years in advance. There are things that you are expected to attend, but actually it's about reaching out to different organisations and saying, can I help? Can I come and visit you? Can I raise your profile? Can I talk to you? Because I was talking to somebody else, and what they do and what you do will be brilliant together. So actually it's about what you as the High Sheriff make of it. You can be as busy or as laid back as you want. And I'm trying to be somewhere in the middle, but at the moment I'm just loving the fact that I'm going around the county, seeing different people, different organisations that I'd never get to see. And actually doing stuff out of the county that I'd never get to do.
It's a real eye-opener, I guess, because obviously you were out and about networking on the business scene before, and now you're going into communities. And I guess places that you may not have been before in Shropshire, you're discovering new places.
I mean, I'm ashamed to say that I am. I mean, I thought I knew Shropshire pretty well. But one of the first things that I did, I went down to Newcastle on Clun on a very, very cold April afternoon, and had the absolute joy of presenting coronation medals to the primary school children at one of the smallest primary schools that we have in the county. And they're actually part of a federation. So 3 schools came together. Brilliant lunch had been sorted out by the PTA. And doing that, I'd actually never been to Newcastle on Clun. That journey, wow, brilliant. And it reminds me everywhere I go. Yesterday evening, we were in Ludlow. You know, the drive from where I live down the Core of Dale to Ludlow on such a beautiful evening. And going up to Ellesmere and walking around the meres for the Soldiers' Museum at Shropshire Castle, Shrewsbury Castle last weekend. Great things to do. And it's those things that quite often you'll see and go, I'd like to do it, but no, I'm a bit busy. This year I've got no excuse.
No, this is your year.
This is my year and I can do
Really
it, and
is.
it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, it was a couple of years ago now, you know, we had Dean Harrison
Yes.
here, and of course she was the COVID High Sheriff as well, wasn't
Yeah.
she? And you know, so she had to adapt very much
And
to do things differently, didn't she?
Absolutely, and Dean was a brilliant High Sheriff. And I mean, I have to say, one of the great things is each High Sheriff brings their own take on it. So my predecessor was just exemplary. Her predecessor, very different way of working, but again, really put a focus on actually the visitor economy. That was Tony. Dean had to go from having everything organised to be out there and about to going to be a virtual High Sheriff. And she set the bar really high. She really made sure that so many organisations knew about the role. And I think that's what's the great thing about it. It's one of those things that you only really get to know the job when you're handing over to the next person. But if we can all just bring something a little different, get to know more about what's going on in the county and hand it over to the next person, then you know, hopefully job done.
How can businesses work with you then, you know, to help themselves and give you the kind of things that you're looking to help promote this year?
That's such a great question. And actually talking to some of the other sort of people who were attending the games this morning, their big ask. So there was an amazing person from the Hive, there was somebody else from Shropshire Cricket, the games are organised through Energise. Actually, what they're really after is businesses looking to their local communities, looking particularly at schools and building up relationships. Schools are not well funded as far as activities are concerned. And we all know that the fitter we are, and fitness starts, you know, from we need children to be active. We don't want them to be sitting there gaming all the time. The more we can do to encourage schools to enable them to buy equipment, actually to have people volunteering to help run sports clubs. Businesses can help do that. If you're a business and you know that you've got a scout or guiding group or brownies or any of those groups for young people, think about enabling your employees to do a little bit of volunteering or just raise some money that will make a real difference. And sometimes just 150 quid can make such a difference. And if every business across Shropshire just looked at what's in their own community or talked to their employees and said, are you or your children or your family involved in any charities around? And just thought about a little bit of corporate social responsibility. And we do it very well here, but if we can spread it more widely, we'd make such a difference.
We were talking with Andrew and Hayley, of course, a bit
Yeah,
earlier with
absolutely.
the career card. And
Yeah.
that's the same kind of philosophy,
It is.
isn't it? Trying to keep the goodwill
Yeah.
of Shropshire people within the county of
And
Shropshire.
we are really good at that in the county, but as Hayley was saying, actually be able to recruit people to businesses, recruitment's always an issue. But if we build relationships with schools early, if we build relationships that are with not just schools but the wider community, it makes it easier to recruit and retain staff, and that's to everybody's benefit.
Absolutely. Where are we going to see you next then? Where are you going to be popping up next? What have you got on your agenda?
Well, this evening I'm at Telford for the mayor making. I had very odd connotations about what that made as, is it hubble bubble, toil and trouble? Oh, out comes the new mayor. Apparently not. There is obviously a democratic process around mayor making. And then I'm doing seeing various different charities next week. So next week's really quite a busy week. So it's brilliant.
Is it seasonal or not, or is it, there are peaks and troughs and busy times?
Apparently it gets a little less busy during the summer. But then the summer is, British summer, it's a slightly movable feast. I'm trying to do maybe 8, 9, 10 sort of things a week, visits a week, but just don't know. And I just love getting invitations that pop up. So it's the county show this weekend.
Indeed, yeah.
So popping along to that.
And the weather's going to be perfect for it, isn't it, as well? So
Yeah, I have to say I've spent a lot of time at the county show with me wellies on and Mac, and absolutely freezing. So if it's perfect weather, brilliant.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Great to see you. I'm
you.
sure our paths will be crossing at various
so.
points over the next few months.
I hope so. It's there's so much going on in this county. It's brilliant. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for joining.
Please invite me back.
We definitely will. We'd love an update.
Anytime. We can't say no to the High Sheriff, can
No,
we?
we can't.
Thank
We
you.
can't say no to that. Now then, Chris was out and about, as was I earlier this week, in the middle of Shrewsbury, in the sunshine as well, talking about the latest initiative which Shropshire Council have helped to make happen. And this involves Shrewsbury Bid, doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah, yeah.
And you met up with Seb Slater.
I did, yeah. We had a chat about their new data hub. Let's take a look. Well, here we are in Shrewsbury. I'm with the Executive Director of the Bid, Seb Slater. Seb, it's good news for Shrewsbury because sales are on the up.
Yeah, that's right. We've just launched our new data hub, which is pulling together a load of different data sets. And you're right, it's showing that sales are up in the last 3 months between about 12 and 20%. And for the last year, up about 10% on pre-COVID figures. So yeah, I think things are looking good at the moment.
Now, these are figures that are better than other UK towns and cities.
Yep, we get some benchmark data in terms of UK figures. So that 10% increase we saw last year compared to pre-pandemic compares to a 2% on average across the UK. So yeah, Shrewsbury performing above its peers.
So tell me then about this new data hub.
Well, the whole idea is that we collect quite a lot of data about town. We want to share that with businesses so that they've got the tools they need to see what's going on in the town, the different sector trends, which will help them forward plan, and also might drive investment in terms of people seeing what's on the up and where people might move into the town.
So this gives an idea then for businesses, maybe how did last Christmas perform? What can we do this Christmas, say for example, or during the summer season?
Yeah, exactly right. Because in Shrewsbury we have different patterns, throughout the day. Like you say, Christmas is obviously a really important time for retail, the summer for the visitor economy, and yeah, it allows businesses to see that in data form and plan their business better.
And I guess that any businesses that are interested in coming into Shrewsbury and investing here and launching here, this data is going to be good for them as well.
You're exactly right. Yes, this data can give that confidence that actually this sector is particularly strong in these areas of the year. So yeah, absolutely, we hope it'll drive investment.
So how did this data hub come about then?
Well, as I say, we've been collecting data for some years, footfall data initially, but through COVID, we were able to get some additional funding through Shropshire Council, and that allowed us to broaden that data to include lots of credit card transactions. So that gives us sector data, but also where customers are coming from. So it's quite a rich data set now that we're obviously making available to businesses and our partners on our website.
So you can tell if visitors are kind of local from Shrewsbury, if they're shopping in the town centre, or whether they're coming maybe on a day trip and then shopping here as well.
Yeah, so we get sort of amalgamated data in terms of postcodes. So we can see the percentage of customers that come from the SY123 area versus the region, an hour-and-a-half drive versus the UK. So we get a really clear picture now of where people are coming from, which also helps us with our marketing activities.
So the funding from Shropshire Council then was a real benefit for you in launching this?
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, we collect footfall data, but we wanted to get some more rich data, and that comes at a cost, but Shropshire Council, through its economic recovery programme, was able to support that. So that was brilliant.
And if people go onto the Shrewsbury Bid website, they can access this data themselves to take a look at?
That's right, yeah, shrewsburybid.co.uk, just on the menu there, Shrewsbury Data Hub, and it's all there for everyone to view.
Now you've got a renewal coming up as well very soon for Shrewsbury Bid. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so business improvement districts every 5 years have to go through a democratic process to get elected. We're coming up to our second renewal. So in June, businesses in the town centre of Shrewsbury will get a vote on our next business plan for the next 5 years. So yeah, we're really excited. We've just had the business plan printed. Really excited to be presenting this to businesses. And for the next 5 years, we've really got 4 themes. The first we're calling Original Shrewsbury, which is all that marketing work that we've been doing for the last 10 years, obviously continuing that, being the voice for the town. A second area of work, which is about safer Shrewsbury. There are some challenges we face, not unique to Shrewsbury, but we've certainly got those. And so that's a real focus for our second term. And then we've got the Work in Shrewsbury theme, which is that brilliant community of people that are working, starting businesses here. We really want to celebrate that more over the next 5 years and attract more investment that way. And then the final area is future Shrewsbury, and that's really working closely with colleagues at the councils in terms of the future development of the town.
And talking about promoting Shrewsbury and original Shrewsbury, you've had some real successes at the moment on social media, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. Over the past 5 years, our social media reach has really ramped up. I think last year, over 9 million daily reach, if you like, across the whole year. So, you know, businesses, actually those particularly opening up, get a real boost through the original Shrewsbury platform and reaching customers.
And at the moment, Shrewsbury's looking great. There's flags above the streets. It looks really good for summer.
Yeah, no, that's a really important part of the work we do, is animating the town centre, making it a really fun and enjoyable place for people to come, spend time, spend money. And you're right, we just launched the Shrewsbury themed animation, which is all about Dali, because the Shrewsbury Arts Trail has managed to secure some Dali artworks later this year, so a real coup for the town.
It is, it's brilliant. Well, it's going to be a good summer ahead. Thank you very much, Seb, for chatting to us today.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And that's it, the end of our May show. 90 minutes. I don't know about you, Chris. I feel like this one's absolutely flown by.
Absolutely whizzed by. I can't believe it's just gone 2 o'clock.
However, we may be live in the Yarrington studios here in Shrewsbury, but Chris has got some very important news to bring you about next month's show. He's not going to be here.
I won't. No, it's the first one I've missed in 3 years. But yes, I'm going on a cruise down the fjords of Norway. So I'm looking forward to that.
Rest assured, while you're chasing the Northern Lights, we're going to be bringing you our next month's show, very much from the Shropshire Chamber Business Awards. We were talking to Kelly a little bit earlier. That will have happened on the Friday night. So we're going to have all the news, all the views, maybe even some backstage gossip as well from Telford's International Centre. We'll have all our usual Ask the Experts and guests here live in the studio. But we'll find out who's won all the big awards. So
I'm looking forward to catching up and find out who has won and all the information and gossip as well. I'll be watching.
They have good Wi-Fi on the cruises.
They do. I will be watching.
We get some strange and unusual international viewers here on Shropshire Business Live TV. I don't know if we've had one from Norway yet.
Well, you will do next month. And also as well, don't forget, if you ever want to get in touch with us, you can do info@sbltv.co.uk. And of course, we've got sbltvknowledge.co.uk, which we're updating all the time, so you can take a look at that as well. But until next month.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you've got any videos, blogs, podcasts, anything you're doing that you want us to help to spread the word about, that's what SBLTV Knowledge is for, of course. But that just leaves us, though, with one duty to perform, to find out who's in our 90 Seconds with Hot Seat for this show. Now, we were talking about all the events that are happening around the summer with the High Sheriff. One of them is the Newport Show, which is at the Newport Showground on the 8th of July. I'm looking forward to being there, doing a bit of question and answering and hosting on the stage.
We'll do some hosting on the stage. I'm broadcasting live on the radio, so I think we'll both be there as
well.
So
come and say hello to us at Newport Show. And in the meantime, this is an opportunity to meet the show manager. This is 90 Seconds with Sally Weston. What's the biggest challenge in your job?
Sort of juggling all the balls, really. I have to work with a lot of committee members and contractors, and obviously people who I work closely with as well. So it's just trying to communicate with all those people and get all the ends to knot together, really.
So what's your biggest strength in the workplace?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I'd like to think I'm quite enthusiastic and energetic and quite open to new ideas, and will try anything for a first time, see how it goes. So quite forward thinking, I'd like to think. I don't know whether I am.
Qualities that you look for in your colleagues?
Lots of energy, really positive, strong organisational skills, very good customer care, customer communication skills. They're key to our business.
If you were an emoji, what would you be?
Oh gosh, probably a wiggly smiley face.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I'm more of an early bird, actually. Yeah.
Gym workout or TV box set?
Oh, I don't really like going to the gym, and I don't really do TV box set because I don't get time. I do like exercising, but it has to be outdoors.
Is it Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury?
Oh, no, I think it is who you speak to, actually. Yeah, just, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, really. I would love to know what the answer to that question is, actually. What's the right way, but, yeah.
whatever fits, I guess.